everyone, and welcome to our fourth episode of the CouchCast charity podcast, where today we're very lucky to be joined by a very special guest in the car. It's Mr. Evan Todd. Hi, Evan. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. We have been quarantining in the city nonstop, and we finally got a chance to jump in a car and go see a friend who has taken all the precautions and all of that. But we're going to go up to his house and actually get a little time outside of the city, which is really nice.
Cool. Get some fresh air, see some faces.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got a few questions here for you.
Sure.
And we'll just fire away. So the first question is, what first made you think, I want to be an actor? How did you get started?
So I was a gymnast when I was a kid. I was a gymnast when I was like 3 and 11. And I just really liked being in front of people. Like, I was a competitive gymnast. So there was something about that I just really enjoyed. And then, do you know Haley Joel Osment, the kid from The Sixth Sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's like my age, and maybe like a little bit older, but he was this child actor, and he was in my favorite TV show. And I just remember thinking, like, I want to do that. That's so cool. Like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do it for a long time.
So he would have been one of your role models?
I mean, sure, yeah. You know what's funny? That when I first graduated college, one of my first big auditions was for this play called Red that was like being done all over. It was like the first year was out or something. I was up for it in Philadelphia. I think it's Philadelphia. And I was like, great, I'm so close to this job. And I lost the job to Haley Joel Osment. But it was to him. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to lose it to somebody. I might as well lose it to him.
Ironic. So we're going to segue on kind of to questions about Fourth Man Out, which was a movie started in 2016. And it's a really heartwarming and funny movie. But what was it like filming that and making that movie?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was it's been such a nice surprise. I had never done film before. It was my first real job. And so while now I really love the film, and I just didn't really know what I was doing. And it was but I was still terrified the whole time because I wanted to be good. I wasn't sure exactly what I was doing. It was a different medium than I was used to. But everyone was so awesome. The whole cast, everyone was so fun. And then going around and touring with all of the film festivals.
The awards as well it was nominated for. Did you expect it to go that far?
No. I mean, I wanted it to be good, I knew it was going to go to film festivals. I never thought it would be at like Cannes or Sundance or anything like that. I mean, maybe like, oh, that'd be cool. But we were like, oh, it's going to go to some gay film festivals, which I'd never been to before. And the first one we went to, we didn't even stay for the awards. We jumped on a plane, and I think we were going somewhere else. And so we were on the plane, and we found out that like we won the big, overall grand jury prize. We're like, oh, that's cool. And then we went to another one, the same thing happened. And then another one, the same thing happened. We're like, this is really great. Like, I guess we all hoped that it would do well, but we didn't think that unanimously everyone would sort of be so supportive of the film.
Well, that's a nice surprise, yeah. And
it was great.
Did the film echo any points of your own story?
Yeah, so the parts that I think people really connected to are also the same things that like I really connected to. Yeah. Some were surprising. Like some of the surprising things were I didn't realize there weren't really that many films about gay guys living in a small town.
Uh-huh.
And so I heard a lot. Like I really liked that he didn't just move to a big city or to like LA or New York, but that was really about him in a small town. But what echoed with me was just I liked that no one in his family really rejected him. None of his friends really rejected him. When I came out, I wasn't so scared that I was going to be rejected by my friends and family. It was just something I had a hard time coming to terms with. Like I really struggled. Yeah, and so to see that portrayed on screen too, it was like, no, he just had a really hard time coming out for his own reasons, and then seeing that his family and friends really did embrace him after a little bit, like some trials and tribulations. That really connected to me. The mom scene, the coming out to the mom moment was very similar to my mom. And I came out to her in the kitchen as well. We had like our talk in the kitchen. And that here was a gay guy who didn't seem homophobic at all, but also didn't really seem to be a cliche or wasn't written to be. Yeah, it wasn't written to be the punchline. Wasn't written to be the witty, funny friend. He was sort of the straight man in a gay comedy.
But that's good because there's more depth to it than just funny. It's funny, but it's serious as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like we have plenty of really great films and entertainment that have those characters in them, and it's really refreshing to see someone else that people seem to resonate with. Like
exactly,
it's really nice. Yeah.
We're gonna segue on now to more questions about Heathers. And the original off-Broadway production. So, what were your first thoughts of Heathers as a musical, from a cult classic movie to a musical on stage?
Yeah, my first thoughts were, what is this? Because I'd never heard of Heathers. Yeah. And it started in LA, and I had just moved to LA from New York, and I had never really done a professional musical. I had done musicals like in middle school and one in high school. And then I went to college, but for acting, not for musicals. So I moved to LA, and I was like, my manager wanted me to go in on Heathers the musical. I was like, well, first, I don't know what Heathers is, and second, how is a musical starting in LA? Like, I've never really heard that happen. He's like, it's all film and TV people behind it. They're great people. It'd be really fun. I was like, okay, sure, I'll go in on it. I watched the movie, and I was really confused. I was like, what is this weird thing? And then I was lucky enough to do it. I had so much fun doing it. Yeah, I loved the cast. It was all like young people who are now all have really interesting careers. Yeah. So it was a blast. And then when I moved to New York, it was nice to go back to New York with a job and then watch this show that had all of these cult fans for the movie. And then by the time we closed, it was all Heathers the musical fans. And then now it feels like the musical has become this cult hit. Like all of these middle and high school drama kids, like and college kids, just like love this weird musical that I was so lucky to have been a part of.
Yeah, it's even like a separate kind of fan cult from the actual movie itself.
Absolutely. And what's funny was when I was in high school, the like cool musical that only cool drama kids really liked was like Bat Boy. and Larry O'Keefe wrote that too. Like he wrote Bat Boy and he wrote Heathers. So he has a knack with like writing the cool musical.
Yeah. So of course in the original off-Broadway production you played Kurt Kelly, one of the jocks. And how did you bring him to life? How did you go about that?
Honestly, I really like playing big characters, and like I've always enjoyed that, and I don't often get to audition for them. Like there aren't really those kinds of characters in film and TV, and if they are, they're kind of more character actors. So here was this chance where I got to play. I was actually going in for JD. I called in for JD. I was called back for JD. And then they're like, oh, can you look at these two little scenes and try and learn this song called Blue, and we'll call you back in. And paired me up with people and making this fun. And I just did anything that would make me laugh, I would do, and then it kind of stuck.
That's pretty good. So was there really much pressure considering you originated the role, or was it just go in there and do whatever, have fun?
There wasn't really any pressure because no one talks about Heathers and talks about like that Kurt Kelly, right? It wasn't like I had to emulate this character, so there wasn't any pressure for me. And I guess because I am a gay guy, the idea of like playing this idiot douchebag jock just seemed really fun, and like I could push all the boundaries because I wasn't really going to offend anybody. So I kind of loved it.
And then the last question on Heathers is, what would be your advice for anyone playing Kurt Kelly in future productions?
Oh, I always say just have as much fun as you possibly can. He is so dumb, and you can literally do anything you want. And I think leaning into the dumb and the funny as opposed to the like creepy or like there's some rapey moments that are a little bit like, that's you really, really don't want to lean into that at all.
Exactly.
I think that just having as much fun as you can do no wrong, and there aren't really many times you get to play a character like that.
We're going to segue on now to questions about Spring Awakening. And
okay.
You co-produced the Broadway revival in 2015, yeah?
I did, yeah.
And it was nominated for a Tony Award and the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Revival. So how did that feel?
It's funny, that was 3 years ago to the day. The Tony Awards were today, I think it was 3 years ago. That was it was amazing because I actually, when I was in Heather's, so backing up, I did some, I ran a couple of nonprofits, and I was always fundraising for these nonprofits and organizing teams. And when I did Heather's, I took one of the young producers aside and was like, what is it that you do? This really awesome girl named Jamie. And she explained what they did, and I thought it was really interesting. And so I liked the finances behind it, thought it was fascinating, and thought it'd be more fun to ask people to invest in a musical than to donate to a cause, right? I was pretty good at doing that. But thought it'd be really fun to do that, producing or bring financing in and try and get a producer credit. And so that happened with Heather's, and I was like, great, I can do this. And then right when Heather's, at the end of Heather's, I got cast in Fourth Man Out, and same thing. I was like, hey, I'm interested in producing. I brought on financing to Heather's and got a producer credit. What would be the situation for Fourth Man Out? So same thing happened. I ended up becoming a producer. Fourth Man Out. So then Spring Awakening came around, and I saw a production of it in LA, and it was the first thing that I wasn't in, but that I loved and thought it was so powerful. I didn't even enjoy the first, the original. I didn't really love. I thought it was fine, but I was like, okay, that's good. But I loved this production, and it felt really important, and it was beautiful. And in the back of my head, I was like, I would love to get involved in this somehow. And when I was at one of the nonprofits that I started is in South Africa, and we were teaching. And do you know Ali Stroker?
I've heard the name.
Beautiful blonde girl who just won the Tony. She's the first actress to have ever been on Broadway in a wheelchair, which was Spring Awakening. So we were working with her in South Africa, and she rolled in and was beaming and told me that Spring Awakening was going to Broadway. And I immediately was like, congratulations, and can you please put me in touch with the producers, because I would love to be involved, because I think it is so good. I brought on financing and was able to be a part of that project, and it got nominated for a Tony, which was really cool.
Yeah, and that's what they always say. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It all worked out.
Exactly. And you were saying about the kind of non-profit organizations, and you've co-founded START and Arts Inside Out, and they've been benefiting students in Africa and all around the US as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, so it started with I had taught in East Africa with some Juilliard students, and it was great. But when we got there, even though we managed to do a program that was really beautiful and really wonderful, and it felt like it genuinely helped the students we were working with, I learned about volunteer tourism, and how it really is it does more harm than it does good. And I just wanted to make sure, I wanted to make sure that we weren't just feeding into this cycle of white people going to Africa to help and really not helping and creating So I thought about it. I was like, well, I really should be doing this kind of work in my hometown, because I love my hometown, and it was not necessarily a thriving arts community. It's changed substantially. It ended up turning into a full-on arts intensive, and there were 150 kids, and we did music and dance and visual arts, and that's now been 10 years that we bring Juilliard students to work with middle and high school students. And then, after that first year of START, I began talking to Dick Scanlon, who was a mentor of mine. Dick Scanlon wrote Thoroughly Modern Millie, and he won the Tonys. An amazing guy, an incredible writer. We started talking about me teaching in Africa and beginning this program in Florida. And he started voicing how he really wanted to work with kids affected by HIV in South Africa. And he's positive, and he's vocal about his status. And I had follow-up questions. I'm like, well, why are we going to Africa? Why, let's make sure that our mission necessitates where we go, and not necessarily just picking Africa and deciding we're going to Africa. And when we really thought about it, it was like, if we want to work with kids who are affected by HIV, then sub-Saharan Africa is definitely where we should be. They have the highest population of children.
Yeah, exactly.
So we found this incredible place called Nicosi's Haven that is basically a home for mothers with HIV and their children. And a lot of the children also have HIV, and a lot of the mothers have passed away. And so we work with the whole community, and everything culminates with the performance at the Market Theatre, which is this really important South African theater, and it's for the whole community. And it's amazing. This is the first year we're not going. This
yeah. Oh, that's a pity.
I know, but we're putting together a big visual, putting together clips, and people are doing interviews, and we're going to send it over, and we're going to throw a big pizza party for them and celebrate 10 years.
Oh, that's fantastic, and such a good cause as well to be going for 10 years.
I know, it's insane. We have some students who literally we watched grow up, and now one of them wanted to come to America and go to college, and he just graduated, and he just got his acceptance to get his MBA. So it's really incredible.
That's amazing to watch them grow as well from such a young age.
Yeah, I feel old.
We're going to kind of segue on now to more questions about our current global situation, where we're all stuck indoors. Have you noticed any unexpected benefits of isolation?
Well, I think it's ironic that we're talking about isolation, and it's like this is the first time we're in a car and I'm like actually leaving the city. But yeah, benefits of isolation, I'm not so sure. Maybe that when we interact with people now, I think we're connecting in a different way. I think people are really thankful to be connecting with other people if they get to see them on the street, or if they get to talk at a distance, or if they are, feel comfortable enough to actually be in the same room. I think we appreciate human connection in a way that we definitely took it for granted before. And then I wouldn't say this is a benefit from isolation, but a benefit from this whole thing that I believed early on, but like I really feel now, is I don't have any FOMO, because I can get in my own head about my career or what I should be doing and what other people are doing and who got cast in what and what about this job, like what am I doing with my life, all of this fear and FOMO that when the entire world has gone on pause now, it's really nice to not be worried about those things, and I get a little bit of a break to actually think about other things that are equally as important, and I'm reminded that other things are equally, if not more important, than who's doing what and what jobs are available now, that constant hamster wheel feeling. So that's been really, really nice. Also, the whole world is on pause, and every major industry, literally just can't do anything. And I think there's something really great about that. I think that we need that. I think that it makes way for more important things. When it's like meditation, right? Yeah. It's like the whole world is meditating a little bit, so you get to see what comes out of the silence. And a lot of important things are coming up, and including like Black Lives Matters and all of this. Exactly. I don't know if there's a direct correlation with Corona, but I do think that we've been so reflective during Corona that I think people are actually able to hear what's being said in a different way and actually take it in a different way. Exactly. It's like everyone's eyes have really been opened to what's really going on. Yeah, and I'm embarrassed to say that because it just shows how much privilege I have, right? Like, I feel like white people are always the first ones to go, oh my God, did you know? Did you realize we lived in a world like this? And every person of color is like, yeah, I did, because I live in this world and I have to deal with it every day. So I feel silly, but yeah, my eyes are being open to things that they should have been open to a long time ago. Yeah, it's such a sad reality as well that we didn't notice these things. Yeah. And literally the whole world paused. Right, or we did notice them, but they didn't directly affect us. And so it's just easier to be like, well, yeah, that sucks, and I totally support you, but you're not actively supporting, and you're kind of supporting in theory, or you're like performative. Yeah. I just read something, and I posted it on my Instagram about like what it's, I forget the exact words, but essentially like how to pretend you're being an ally, like how to I saw that. Yeah, you're sort of an ally, but not really, and then how to actually be an ally. And I think that's something I've been trying to learn more about, so that I genuinely be supportive and genuinely be a part of the change, and not just give lip service to it.
We have all the time in the world now to educate ourselves and to help the causes. So
yeah.
And you've been at some of the protests as well. What's it like firsthand in America at the protests?
It's a very American and very New York thing to do, but I was talking to a friend about this. The first protest I ever went to was for Prop 8 or against Prop 8, and it was when I was in college. And it was primarily, queer people. And it was beautiful and it was great. And I felt like I was a part of something and part of a community. But it also felt like a relic. It felt kind of like we were doing it as a gesture. Like, hey, when you're upset about something, you protest. And so we did that for Stonewall, and we're going to do it now. And it felt like paying homage to a time when that was actually effective. But this feels different. This feels like it's of the people, by the people. It is what happens when groups of people, community of people are oppressed, and at some point there's a boiling point and they have to take action. And so the protests that I were at were really young, were really mixed. There were a lot of white people there. There were a lot of people of color. Of course, there were a lot of black people there. But it was really young and it was really vibrant. And I went to one and was so moved by it and wanted to participate more that I went down to Stonewall, and there was another protest.
Yeah.
And to see sort of the queer faction of the black community and how and that it was really interesting and really moving, and I was so glad to just be there and show up and be supportive and be vocal about this, because I kind of feel like we all have to be vocal.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is our responsibility to learn and our responsibility to continue to question and talk and be okay not knowing, and then trying to find out more information, and then talking to the people that we're close to, who they're really uncomfortable conversations. But I mean, the first day I posted about how I felt about Black Lives Matters and what's going on, and it was a really long post, and I was just being honest, and I said, like, this is challenging and difficult, but it's time to have challenging conversations. But I wasn't actually prepared for how challenging the conversations would be with people that are really close to me. It's been really hard because I'm really disappointed that some people really close to me feel the way they feel about certain things.
It's a sad reality as well. Yeah. Conversations have to be had though, regardless.
It does, it's sad and it's hard. And I'm really glad that it's, no pun intended, like very black and white. Yeah. I feel like you either support the fundamental, you support what Black Lives represents and matters at its core. You may not necessarily agree with every single subsection of what certain people are trying to push for or not, but fundamentally, Black people are treated differently in America. That's wrong. All lives matter when Black lives matter, and Black lives have not mattered for quite some time. Like fundamentally, if you don't believe that, if you don't support that, then you have a problem with racism. Like there's a foundation of racism there, and that's hard to deal with, and that might be hard to hear, but this is the truth. There's no in between. There's no sort of.
Exactly.
There's just not. So it kind of makes it easy to have the conversation, because you're like, it's really one or the other.
It is. It's one or the other. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what they say as well. Hate isn't born; it's taught.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How have you been keeping yourself sane? And what tips would you have for other people that might be struggling with their mental health during it?
Yeah, well, okay, you got to do what you got to do, and you have to do what you need to do in order to stay sane. So, like for us right now, I'm sure someone online is going to get real upset that I'm in a car leaving the city, but I'm doing it in like the safest way I possibly can, so that I can go back to New York and continue to socially distance and quarantine for as long as we need to, right? So I'd rather do this, where I'm going for 3 days out of the city to get away, so I can come back and continue to be safe in my apartment, as opposed to just getting frustrated and being like, screw it, I don't care, and not really paying attention to
exactly. Yeah.
I would also say not being too hard on yourself if you're not as productive as you'd like to be. Like, I know all of us are like, oh, look on the bright side. You have all the time in the world to like learn French. It's like, okay, well, if you don't learn French, that's okay.
Not the end of the world if you don't learn French. Yeah.
Right. Like be good to yourself and be gentle with each other. Like me and Scott have definitely been at each other's throats, and you just have to be careful.
Natural,
yeah, and recognize that it may not. It's not the person; it's the situation. Like
exactly.
We're engaged. I don't want to not be engaged, but these circumstances are making it really difficult because it's difficult for everybody, and these circumstances are temporary.
Exactly. And even as you were saying, you're leaving New York now, but you're going to be following all the protocols. You're going to be distancing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like we've encountered less people right now than just going to the supermarket. There are more people in the supermarket than this entire trip so far.
It's crazy, yeah. But New York has been really badly affected as well. So I suppose it's good for your mental health and Scott's to get out of there for a while and kind of refresh yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Just saying, we try and take as much time as we can for ourselves. So we'll go into different. We're lucky enough that we have, a bedroom. We have another area we can go, so we don't have to live in the same, space all the time. And getting outside just to get some sun. Things are loosening a little bit in New York. I hope that's okay. I hope that the social distancing.
It all works out.
Yeah. Just that lockdown is loosening up a bit. I think we're in phase 1 now. I hope that everything, everyone stays safe and that we don't see a spike. But it feels nice to start seeing people and to start seeing businesses opening up. One thing, if you need anything else, let me know.
Sorry about all the connection issues, but the transatlantic Wi-Fi signal never seems to be too good. But a huge thank you to Mr. Evan Todd for his time, for volunteering and coming on, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.